Well, surprise, surprise, Evelyn just came in and she says there's 3 inches of snow out there.
It's fluffy,
It's fluffy, but it's 3 inches.
but it's also like 31 degrees. Coming in, it seemed like it was 33 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's snowman making wet snow. It's sticky.
So what we're looking at is we're looking
Right.
north of the studio across. That's the Rogers School across the street, and you can see the plow trucks playing in the yards. But 3 inches of snow, and the weather forecaster said it was just a dusting. So 3 inches, right, Ev?
Yeah, it was around 3 inches on my car. You know, it came up over my shoes, my sneakers.
Well,
Anyway, I'm not on your screen. We see the picture, but people can
I'm
hear my
looking.
voice.
we're looking out the window.
Yep. Everybody look out
That's
the
a
window if you're
rooftop.
going someplace.
That's a rooftop camera. Fancy too. What else? You got City Hall. I think they might be 3. Let's see. Yeah, press 3 goes over to City Hall. That looks lovely. We'll leave it on that for a while. So, Ev, I'm going to put it on you.
Sure, I was ready.
Here you go.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Evelyn Thoren. I'm your host this morning. At some point, my
Sam's got the day
husband will
off
be
today.
coming. My husband will be coming in. Sam isn't with us this morning. We wish him well
He's
for the
off
day.
today.
And
This is not a good thing to say.
we also, Bob Hoey does the Tuesdays. Maybe someday he'll show up on Thursday, or maybe I'll show up on a Tuesday, just to say hello. And we, praying for his health and a lot of other people's. The list keeps growing as far as that goes. So this morning when I opened the door to my front yard to go out, I went, oh good, it snowed. So had to clean off the car. Make sure you guys give yourself a lot of extra time. Some of the side roads are not plowed or bare, but generally speaking, the roads are fine. They're wet, simply because of the temperature. But yesterday morning when I got up, it was 4. So everybody, be aware of what your weather is. And we do have weather coming in, which I find fascinating that they all know about it. And
They're embellishing the weather. They're going to get 40 feet of snow.
No,
40 feet of snow, and it's going to be 700 degrees below zero.
We'll see how accurate they are.
They
with
embellish everything.
So usually when not that anybody needs to know this, when I get up, at 5 o'clock on, or before, on the Thursday mornings to get here, after I'm all ready to go and I'm sitting having my coffee, I usually scroll through Facebook to see if there's anything local to report, or any number of interesting articles that I might have time to glance at of things I didn't send to John or Sam or Glenn. And so one of the articles did have an update from last night. I watched the weather on television last night on Fox, and they were watching to see exactly to what extent we're going to have ice or snow. But somebody said this morning on one of the articles that the whole storm has now moved like 200 miles north. Now, what does that mean for New England? Well, they're not telling us what it means for New England because they're more concerned about the middle of the country.
The storm's 2,000 miles away, Ev.
I'm not worried about, no, it's not that far away. So the edge of it isn't that far away. So it's not supposed to start here until Sunday, so we'll see what is going on. But they're thinking, we'll see how accurate they are. We New Englanders know this, but they're thinking that we might actually, Boston area might have a foot of snow. So we'll see how it goes. Not overly concerned. I'm usually prepared. So
We'll survive.
I'm not worried about
Monday
it.
Night Dinner Club, I'm going to guess. I don't know. It's George Driscoll-Harris's pick this week, so we'll see what he wants to do.
Well, anyway, the thing is, everybody, in order to get prepared, it's amusing when people go to the grocery store and all they want to do is make French toast. They buy bread, milk, and eggs. And I'm like, well, there's other things you can make with it, but it's interesting what people purchase when they're taking a look at snowstorms and anything else that might be out there. You want to have stuff that we have generators, but you want to have stuff if you lose power. How can you exist if you don't have a generator?
Go back to bed.
Well, if you have several days without power, what do?
You go to bed, go to the bathroom, go to bed, go to the bathroom. Put the TV on.
Well, no, if you have no power, you can't watch TV. And then you want to make sure there's a thing called Gulu, which is a small...
in the city, we don't lose power.
You never know.
We're not going to lose power.
It's like a battery.
These counties will lose power, but we're not going to lose power.
Right. Well, it's like a battery pack.
What you do is you come to Lowell. If you lose power, come on to Lowell.
You want me to come up here?
Come to one of your relatives.
I can sleep on your floor?
Yeah, there's a purple room upstairs. That's the spare bedroom. That's what the grandkids call it, the purple room.
Well, anyway, everybody has options. But years ago, when we didn't have a generator, I made sure that I had everything that was manual, including being able to have a percolator on the stove. I have gas, so if there's no electricity, you need matches to be able to light the gas, the natural gas. Made sure I had propane for my grill if I wanted to cook out there. Made sure that I also had, water and you have to have that coffee. Make sure you got all of the stuff like that. But I would bake ahead of time, and I would make sure that whatever I had was easy enough because there's no microwave. But most people today have generators. People have moved along, but there's a lot of things to make sure that you do have. It was interesting. I have a friend who's in hospice, and part of the reason was she fell, and she ended up she has cancer, but she ended up breaking her wrist, and because of the whole situation, it splinted. It can't be fixed because of the number of pieces it's in. And her sister's a nurse. She was a nurse, but she had this splint on, and this is where it comes in to be kind of amusing to be prepared. They wanted to cut it in half. It was a U shape because it went around her elbow, and her sister had brought the shears that you cut chicken bones and all this other stuff in the kitchen. It wouldn't touch it. So I said, well, maybe I have a saw in my van. And they just looked at me. I said, well, I have tools in the van. You know, I carry stuff with me. So I went down. Sure enough, I have the saw. The teeth were kind of big, but it took me a while, but I was able to do what they asked me to do and cut it in 2 pieces. But I was kind of amused that every time I've gone and visited, there's something that I can help with. So you never know what you might be doing in a day. And she is like an hour and 20, an hour and 30 minutes away. So it's been my life has been an interesting adventure anyway. Then I go see my mother, who will be 105 in April. And she seems to be doing okay. I think she's doing better than my friend is, who's 30 years younger than she is. And other people that I know. Anyway, John, I had sent you some pictures. I just want to make sure that you got them before Glenn gets here, because I'm sure that we'll talk about all the current events that's out there. We know.
I'm trying to get us up on Facebook, and I will take a peek at a little.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I thought you told me we were on Facebook, or Facebook was on or something. When I got here.
Facebook was on before you got here, and now I'm trying to put its connection to YouTube up there, editing its little script. So I'm working on that stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, I didn't know, and
So now you do.
yeah, now I know.
Cliff does the same thing.
Pardon me?
I'm busy as hell over here, and he'll go like, "Hey, can you pull up that picture of the duck I sent you last Wednesday?"
Well, I mean, there's so many articles that are out there, and what's interesting is, I'm not on LinkedIn for business, even though I get notifications of different things. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on X. I'm not on TikTok. The only thing that I do is I'm on Facebook just so I kind of have an idea with some of the people that are on there. And so there's an awful lot of articles that show up and on Facebook and stories. It's interesting once you read one story, then you get others similar to that. So some of those articles are related to World War II. Some of them are people's opinions. And, of course, when there are people's opinions, what I do is I go, wonder if that's accurate enough.
Hey, Mary Gail Oliveria says, "Hi, Evelyn."
Oh, tell her, say hi. Hi back. So here I am, like I said, sitting by myself trying to have some kind of a monologue. But anyway, one of the articles had talked about Denmark and Greenland, and we'll talk more in detail about that. And there was a couple of things the person said. So I came out of Facebook and went to Google and on the internet, and I asked questions, and there were a variety of articles from liberal sources and non-liberal sources, and I try to balance out what I read to see what the facts are versus what the opinions are. And I was very surprised to find out stuff, but like I said, that's stuff that we'll probably talk about when Glenn shows up. I don't want to steal any of his thunder because we have like an hour and a half with him, and there's always a lot to talk about as far as anything local. And it's interesting, there was an article, and I think it was in the Sun, that there was a group of people that went to the State House to talk to Lori Trahan, who was in Washington, to ask her to file articles of impeachment for Trump. Now, most of the people that...
And she'll be glad to.
Oh, I'm sure she
She'll
would.
be glad to. What about the lying about Biden? Did they talk about anything about Biden?
Absolutely not. But anyway, the
Okay.
individuals
Our side's got to
that I
win. I
noticed
don't pay
that-
attention to those things anymore.
the individuals that I noticed that were there, and they'll disagree with me, I'm sure, were mostly Democrats. I mean, Massachusetts is not a two-party state. They may think they are, but it isn't. It's one. Pretty much it's mostly Democrats. You might have a token Republican here and there. But the way that the gerrymandering went, it's highly unlikely that you'd have Republicans ever win because of the concentration of people who are Democrats within the state, even though there's an awful lot of people that are registered independent. And it does depend, again, on media, but the media is very much filtered on what it is that they tell you. And they
We
certainly
don't
do
want
not...
to offend any of our advertisers.
Well, as far as, I don't have any advertisers on this show, as
Right.
far as the media
So
goes.
we can offend anybody we want.
Well, yeah, and we don't get paid, and we're not getting paid for any of the advertisements or the announcements that we make from anybody.
Well, you recognize that the reason they don't complain about the drug companies overcharging for their pills, I mean, some people pay $100 for one pill.
You don't have to tell me, I already know this. And I think a lot of people do,
So
especially
I'm
if you
gonna
have,
tell the- I'm gonna
if you
tell the
have
odd-
cancer.
Madam Know-It-All, I'm going to tell the audience that that's the reason the TV stations say nothing about the drug companies.
Right, well, you have some individuals that are on pills that are chemo versus having the, IVs and a port or radiation.
Your first message.
Yes, good morning. Don't forget to clean around the exhaust pipe for the heating system.
Good thinking. Thank you.
There's a number of things that you want to be careful of, which we can go back on. If anybody else has some little tidbits that they'd like to share, please don't hesitate to text us at 978-808-8200. And if you want to ask some questions or give an opinion, you can also call in. This is live currently on the Thursday, January 22nd. Our opinions are our own. They may be somebody else's opinions too, but they're not reflective of any of the public access television or telemedias that you see at the bottom, or anybody else that happens to be listening in. It's not their opinions at all. And we try to form our opinions based on what we've read. And there are,
put your opinion up on the screen.
yes, and if you have an opinion, we'll put it up, and then we can discuss it, or we just ignore it. You never know. So, as far as some of the information that's out there, I was very surprised how the titles to articles are not indicative necessarily of the facts that's in the article, because it needs to capture your attention. And many times it doesn't give you the full picture. So if you see something, rather than taking it for the gospel truth, then you should be doing some other research to see what other articles are out there based upon that particular topic. Of course, everybody likes to be spoon-fed, they're lazy, and sometimes that is
We are
reflective.
not lazy.
Well, I think people are. It's easier to have somebody else tell you what to think than to try to figure out what to think yourself. It does take effort. I mean, it takes me time to do research and read and think about it.
I just make it up.
I try not to make up the facts.
Well, if you embellish it a little bit, it's more entertaining.
Well, absolutely. And
Give
then
it some-
But then you have people that will argue with you about, wait a minute, that's not the fact. That's not the way it happened. So,
Well, you know those tight pants the football players wear?
what about them?
It's to have women look at their butts.
Really? I thought it was so that nothing got in the way while they're trying to run.
No, it's eye appeal. That's why a lot of women love football.
You got to be kidding me. I never even thought about it. I didn't think
You
about
probably
what they
don't
were
watch-
wearing.
You probably don't watch football.
I do. I watched the Patriots game this past weekend. I thought it was a very good game.
Okay.
I was surprised. It was kind of deja vu because it was snowing. And I remember the time, with Brady and even before Brady when they would have snowstorms and you couldn't even see the ball. They didn't know where the ball was, the cameraman. Of course, today technology is a whole lot better than it used to be.
That was nothing compared to what they had at the, which game was it? Chicago Bears. The
I don't watch all the games. Glenn watches an awful lot of games, and I sit there and I listen and that because if we're in New Hampshire, I don't have as many opportunities to do something else. So we'll see exactly how much snow we get up there. That'll be fun. I have pictures of snow from the weekend because there's a lot up there. But one of the things that, if we wanted to look at the positive part about snow, if Bob Hoey was here, he would be telling you about water. Obviously, snow is water. It's in one form, but the snow melt goes into the ground and it increases the groundwater. And the groundwater, in many cases, if you don't have a reservoir near you, that those wells are being fed by the water that seeps down into the ground, and usually that's coming from snow. And so if we don't have a lot of snow, you don't have a lot of groundwater. So if we wanted to look at a positive thing, then the possibility is that we'll have better volumes of water in wells. There's drought conditions in New Hampshire and into Maine and parts of Vermont because the wells are running dry. So we'll see whether or not this winter will help anything to do with those wells. And if you have lakes or ponds and you have the mountains or hills that surround those, when you have a snow melt, it feeds those lower areas. And some people use that for their water, and some of that water seeps down into the ground too if it's not fed by springs coming up out of the ground. So not that you needed to know that information this morning, but like I said, there's Glenn will be in at some point, and I'm sort of filling in the time with regard to that. We do have, I'm on a committee in Chelmsford. It's called the Arts and Technology Education Fund. And it's a committee that the members are appointed by the town manager, so it's a town committee. We just revised the application, and the application is for the staff or clubs in the Chelmsford Public Schools. And so if anybody's out there and you know somebody that's a teacher, or if there's a club that needs finances, you can go onto the Town of Chelmsford website, and the application is there. You should just hit, ATEF application, and you should be able to find it. It's also on the school department website, and that should be relatively simple. There is a number of things that have to be updated on the school department website as far as the dates go, and some content, but we have a brand new application form because we were getting old forms coming in, so we want to make sure that we have consistency with that. Those are out there. They're due March 31st, and it's up to $1,000 for something that would be supplementing the curriculum in the Chelmsford Public Schools, so we have that. We're not going to have a permanent building committee meeting until next month or March. They didn't have enough information on the 2 fire stations to be able to have a meeting. Imagine if we actually had honest people in the media. Fact-based journalism is a thing of the past, that's for sure. We can talk about the media, that's for sure. There's some numbers, there's some individuals that have podcasts or trying to think what there's a lot of media out there that is set up by individuals that they try to actually give you the facts. I have not done the research on those, but I think that I will try to do that so that I can give everybody alternative forms of media besides what we have locally and what we have nationally. There's a lot of things that Fox News will report on that CNN doesn't. I will be very honest that when CNN first came into being, that's the only station that we usually ever watched on television, and used to yell at Wolf Blitzer and ask him why is he asking the stupid questions then. I still do it today. So a lot of things haven't necessarily changed as far as my life goes, but it's unfortunate.
Now we ask scripted questions.
Well, they're given a certain
No, they're not.
slant.
No, they're not. Not since their license is on the line. Everything they say is scripted.
Well, actually, everything, I will agree. There's a monitor in front of them that they read, but that monitor is there in all of those news stations. They're reading the monitor. We don't have any of that. We're just kind of making it up as we go.
Even on The View, they do their own correction. You can say that they touch their ear on their earpiece and go like, they'll stop talking. Oh, we didn't mean to say that. We're going to say this instead of that. You might have misunderstood us. They're all afraid of losing their license.
I think that the whole thing is a mess, and I think that there was something I came across this morning, and it was a CNN anchor that asked the question to whoever their guest was about ICE, and the person said, "Well, you guys were embedded with them back in the early 2000s and during Obama, and you watched everything that they did, and we didn't hear anything bad about them then. They haven't changed their rules.
It's a Democratic media for sure.
True. Now, last week, one of the things I brought up, I thought the name of the book was The Naked Communist, but it showed how they'd take over the country without actually shooting anybody.
Well, they've got
They're
voters.
working on it really well.
They've got the citizens not voting anymore. They're painting us into a corner where this lifestyle we have, enjoy it, it's going to go away.
Oh, yeah. And the irony of it is that the people that are supporting it, when it goes away, they'll be the biggest criers out there. They don't realize that. But there was a couple of other things, like I said, when Glenn gets here, we'll get his perspective on it. And that was with what's going on with NATO. A lot of people don't realize how much the United States supports that financially and has in the past, and why Trump wants them to kind of step up the pace. But where are they going to get the money in their budgets to be able to do that? Well, they do have socialized medicine. Apparently, that may be discretionary funding. So we'll see how, as Europe steps up, because they've always relied on the United States. Oh, they'll save us if we have a war. They'll do this if we have a skirmish, because they need to be more prepared. Because Russia and China are prepared more than we are. That's for sure. And they do have a focus, and they do have a goal in mind, and that is to get rid of us. And that's something that we'll see how long it takes. It may take longer simply because Trump is there. And everybody can say, that I don't know what I'm talking about, or, she's this or she's that, and you have every right to say that. But if the country is taken over, you may not have the right to say much of anything, because free speech will go away. It did in the other countries. We can see that in Iran. People can't say what they want, or they're shot, especially women. I don't understand why all of the women in this country that seem to be activists for women's rights, why they're not standing up for women in other countries that are being shot or persecuted or tortured because they're not considered citizens in that country at all. They're not respected as we've tried to do here. It took us a long time to get that kind of respect in this country also, because you had holdovers from all of the different cultures from around the world that came here for that. And then we hear all about the slaves and all the different things that happened within this country, but we don't seem to have an outcry about the current slave trade that's in the rest of the world. And a lot of it is with women and children. So, and there's a lot of sex trade. There's a lot of different things that's out there. And I throw this out because I would challenge those that if you don't like what it is I'm saying, or you think that I'm just kind of making it up, look it up. Our local news are in the pocket of the governor/elected officials. I don't know. There's some reports that I've read on the governor of this state that don't put her in a good light.
Well, she's running.
And she's running for governor again.
Maura Healey, nice woman, but she's just a lousy governor, and she's running for re-election.
Yeah.
So right now she's got the big bucks. They'll be clapping for her, and that's it. We got a big election coming up February 3rd, and we'll see what happens there. But I'm confident that most people know who the winner is going to be, and I don't think that's going to change.
That's why a lot of people don't vote, is because they don't feel as though their vote counts, especially in Democratic states. I mean, we can take a look at Virginia. They're flipping back and forth extreme right, extreme left. Now they're into the extreme left. They're going to be a sanctuary state. They're not going to support ICE. And as I have stated here many times, if they turned over the people that have already gone through the process of being convicted of a crime, who are illegal in this country, they're not citizens in this country, maybe whatever term you would like to use, there's an awful lot of, I wouldn't call it invasions, but that type of activity, the search activity of trying to find them in the communities. And when you get into the communities and you're trying to find those that are criminals, actual criminals, convicted in this country in a court of law, then you're going to have collateral damage with any other illegal aliens that are just trying to exist here, which is unfortunate. I don't like a lot of the tactics. I don't like what's going on with those that are coming in from Afghanistan either. And it wasn't Trump that shut down all the bases there that caused all of the problems that we currently have within that country.
Well, this is a global issue where they have refugees from every country, many countries, fleeing because the government wants to execute them. And it's happening all over Europe, and the European countries want to send them back, and they're realizing when they send them back, they're putting them for a death sentence, because right now on today's Sun, it says, we sent some people back to some country, and now we're going to pick them up and send them to a different country. Crazy stuff that's going on, but it goes back to stories from years ago, people who moved to lovely Lowell, Massachusetts, because the government was corrupt where they lived, and they're never going to go back there.
I don't question the legitimate reasons why people come here or go to other countries. But there's also a lot of people who came into this country that when you took a look at them coming through the border, they really didn't look like they had major issues. You know, they're coming across with designer sneakers and telephones and, they don't, any number of things. I know along the routes, because somebody could be screaming at me on the other end, on the other side of the camera, I know that many women were raped, people were killed along their routes. It wasn't an easy journey. But just having an open border does not help the country, because we have trouble taking care of our own. Of course, if they find that there's an awful lot of fraud within the different states and major cities, and we can recoup any of that money will go back to our citizens versus in somebody else's pocket. It'll be interesting to find out exactly how the people that we elect to Congress and the Senate, whether it's in the states or in the federal government, why they end up being millionaires by the time they leave. They're not making that kind of money. And I have been an advocate that whatever health care the average person has and the pension plans or the 401ks that the average person has should be exactly what the people that get elected have. That way they would know what the pitfalls were or the problems with it, so that they would be able firsthand to understand what all of us go through or what we don't go through, and be able to solve some of the major issues in that category. It just doesn't seem to work. So, anyway, John, is there anything of interest out there that general stuff?
I was looking around for some pictures of fire in Tewksbury, but I just wanted to give everybody a little reminder for what Evelyn told me this morning. There's 3 inches of snow out there. So you need to drive little Evelyn and little Johnny to school today. Because not that cold, it's not that cold, it's warming up. But that dusting is not a dusting, it's 3 inches of snow. So streets, the city did a good job on the streets are all wet. So that means the kiddos are not going to be walking through this stuff. They'll be walking in the street.
Yeah, so
So
you
come
gotta watch.
school opening time around 8, it's going to be maddening, the traffic, because people are walking in the streets because the weather forecasters are telling us it's just a coating, dusting, and it's a lot more than that. Back to you, Ev.
Yes, and if you have snow on your car, remember that there are laws out there that tell you got to clean it off, the roof off. I do a lot of driving. I have a brand new vehicle. When I drove out of the parking lot at the dealership, I had 11 miles on it. I now have 10,700 and change, and I bought it in June. So I do a lot of driving, maybe not as much as some people do, but the average individual usually, I mean, I'm putting like 20,000 miles plus on it. I'm not doing trips in terms of, driving to Florida or,
So
going
you
out
drive
to the
around
west.
20,000 miles a year?
Yeah. I didn't realize that until I got a brand new vehicle where everything's pretty much almost started at zero.
Yep.
But in doing all that driving, I don't know if anybody else out there has pet peeves on people who drive, what you like, what you don't like. But
Look at the custodian on duty over there. He's got the snowblower cooking.
Yep, that's good.
I'm
But
going to check if there are any school delays. I don't think there are now, but I'll take a peek.
yep, and so but there's a lot of people that do not clean off their roofs. But there's a lot of trucks out there, and I don't know how they clean off the tops of the trucks. So if after any snowstorms, please be cautious and aware that at some point some big thing of ice and snow may be coming off some of the tractor-trailer trucks or even smaller trucks. Some people are driving RVs, other types of trailers, and if they have snow on the roofs, you can't get those off either. I saw a few of those when I was driving yesterday to see my friend on the South Shore, and you just be very cautious and aware of your surroundings. But one of my pet peeves is people who don't use blinkers. They don't use their directionals. And some of them just turn the directional on as they're turning into whatever street they want to go in. So even if nobody's around, use it. Get into the habit of using it so that the people behind you have some kind of clue as to what you're doing. And if you're on a highway, make sure that you have clearance to get between two vehicles. And hopefully the people that are driving some of these vehicles don't think that they're in a video game, because that's what it looks like to me. So that's the driving piece. We've talked about the weather. I've hit some highlights of things we may get a little bit more in depth with once Glenn gets here, and because he would have had to clean off his car too, which is a bigger vehicle than mine. And last week, a couple of things that I thought was of interest for anybody to know, and that is there's areas of the Boston Harbor that they're now beginning to able to clam any of the shellfish you can eat. I'm not exactly sure where that would be, but before you'd never do anything like that. The reason that you wouldn't is because a clam is a filtration system of whatever the water is. That's where it gets its nutrients from is in the water. So whatever's in the water, it's going to be in the clam. So you have to be careful about how you eat things. Last week I did send a picture to John that the eggs at Market Basket were 3 dozen for $4.
There are no delays around here. These are all down Worcester Way, Cape Cod Way, and nothing around in Notre Dame and Worcester. But everything's on time. So that's all the delays right there for Channel 5's website. Thank you, Channel 5.
So we were also looking at last week, like I said,
Here comes Dr. Glenn now.
Yeah, which we didn't focus too much on, is that they signed the Healthy Kids, the Milk Act, basically saying you need to have whole milk. One of the things that people misunderstand is the fact that the fat that's in the milk helps the brain develop, and it also helps it stay that way.
It's tastier, too.
Well, yeah. And with children, you want to make sure that they have the right kind of fats in their diet in order so that they have the right muscle, bone, and brain development with regard to that. And there's a whole lot of different things that's out there.
Not many people go through all that ruckus. They just go into the grocery store, they grab whatever milk they like, and put it in the cart.
I understand that, but this is when they did this, they all...
Who's the they?
The federal government.
Federal government. And we trust them?
Well, I'm doing some research.
Because when we went to the senior center, we got 2% milk.
No, I know that. And
Was that healthy for us?
That depends.
I want
right
real
now, we
milk.
don't have to worry about that if we have other fats in our diet.
I
But if you
wanted
don't
re-
have enough fat in your
Didn't
diet,
you
your
want
brain
real milk?
shrinks. Well, I'll put that in quote. It really doesn't. What?
Didn't you want real milk?
I didn't really care. I don't drink that much milk. And usually now when I do it, I buy Lactaid so that I have less impact on my stomach.
I drink whatever's in the fridge.
Right, but I do more research than you do on what it is that I
If
put
it
in
has
my
a
mouth.
weird label, I will ask about it, but I just drink what's in the fridge.
Anyway, what this does, it tells all of the cafeterias in the public school systems that they can now serve whole milk. The question is, does it cost more money? They have to get new contracts out there. So, I mean, there are pitfalls with regard to, okay, now you have a new regulation, how do I meet it?
Go ahead, Glenn. Just get right in there, baby.
Anyway,
Just gonna sneak past the camera here, nobody will notice.
No,
yeah.
we're public access. We don't have any, the only thing is you can't swear, and once 7 o'clock comes, you don't say anything bad about Lowell.
Well, I wasn't saying anything bad about Lowell to begin with. Thought it was of interest.
Wow.
Well, thank you for getting up extra special early for me.
It's slippery out there.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. I was surprised when I opened the door and it was snow. Weren't you surprised when I told you it was snow?
No.
Oh, did you know it snowed?
Yes.
Did you know it snowed like 3 inches?
Yeah, I knew that.
When did you know?
Last night when they said it was gonna snow.
Oh.
3 inches. Just like this morning, they said it's gonna snow a foot over the weekend.
No, I heard them this morning say we have a coating.
We don't want,
We have a
Dusting.
dusting of snow.
Wait, but who said that? Which media outlet?
5.
you watching CNN again, John?
No, Channel 5.
But maybe Boston did, but we didn't.
No. Yeah,
I don't know what the map says.
They said 1 to 3 inches last night when I went to bed, so we got the high side.
Well, now they're saying we're going to have 70 feet of snow with temperatures as low as 400 below zero.
That's right. It could be worse. It could
And
be.
the tidal wave, we could have an earthquake too.
Yeah, and it's
Earthquake?
Well, it's going to be. In
Oh,
the,
I like the fact you
It's going to
brought
be in
up
the
the
40s
earthquakes.
today. It's going to be warm today.
It's going to melt.
You know, you can
stuff.
put on your shorts, go outside, and enjoy the weather, and be like 45 degrees.
Nice day.
So the
It's good day to actually open your windows. Because with this little dusting of snow we got, the 3 inches of snow or whatever we got out there,
it cleaned
the air is cleaner.
Yeah.
So when it gets to be right around noontime, open your windows, get some fresh air in your house. Make it healthier for yourself.
That's what a lot of people don't realize. I mean, it used to, when I grew up, they didn't have the over-analysis that they have today of every single thing that everybody did and the weather and the whole thing. But my grandmother would say, liked it when it snowed because she said it took all the germs out of the air. And so they never hated having snow because it helped the health of individuals.
That's right. No mosquitoes.
Well, it's too cold for them
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
but you already know that. But one of the other little tidbits, because I always like to share things that work for me, we had, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, where it rained and then froze on the cars. And when I went out to go
yeah.
somewhere, I was like, oh my gosh. And you told me to pour hot water on the car, but I did tap water. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. It's not doing much of anything. And I went and got a spray bottle, put isopropyl alcohol in it, rubbing alcohol, add a little water to it, and I sprayed, and it just instantly went away. All the ice.
That's yeah. You know why? You're
Yes,
a chemist.
I know that, but I don't need to explain it. But I'm just saying that if you have
Well, explain it to the audience then.
it lowers the freezing temperature because the alcohol freezes at a lower temperature than water. That's why.
So as long as it's not very, very thick.
This is from
There you go.
Eileen Del Rossi, Evelyn.
Oh, Evelyn is right. They did not predict it coming down like it did here in this area last night. The driving was really bad coming home from the school committee meeting last night. It was scary and it was not predicted. Well, at least you got home safely, and we're all very happy about that.
And at least somebody admitted Evelyn was right.
You're funny. A lot of times they do. I'm just, as I had said earlier, what I try to do, and I know that you do that too, is that you read a lot of articles before you actually try to form an opinion or a judgment call on something. You just don't take the media's view on it.
I don't take opinion views as facts, but sometimes when you look up what the facts would be, the what you get on, ChatGPT or any of these other services on the news isn't the whole story, so you have to dig a little bit deeper. And I had a conversation with a friend in Chelmsford yesterday about, some immigration laws, and I was wrong. I thought a couple of laws were in place, and he corrected me, and they were actually in process instead of in place. But when you read the news articles, you would have assumed that the laws were in place that made immigration, certain parts of immigration, overstaying of visas, a federal crime. Not yet. They're a civil offense, which is removable by deportation also, but becoming a federal crime has not yet happened. The laws are in process right now.
Well, Glenn, on that note, I think the way we're doing it's a horrible way we're doing it. I've been trying to get a hold of somebody from ICE to come in and explain, how do you prove you're a citizen? So you get pulled over, they yank you out of the car, they put you in the ICE paddy wagon and send you off to Guatemala to some prison.
They don't do that, but go ahead.
Well, what do they do, Glenn? Have you been able to? So I call them up.
Yes.
Call them up. And they say, send us an email. That's what their answering machine says. Send us an email.
That's what the answering machine said.
Yeah.
No, that's stupid.
And so ICE is completely a mess. I don't like what they're doing. I don't like how they're doing it. They're being portrayed as very bad people. And their answering machine says, we don't talk to anybody. Send us an email.
Well,
So
you
they
can
deserve
imagine,
everything. They deserve everything they get.
you can imagine how many calls they get from the activists here that are trying to say that they don't want ICE in their community.
As
But
many
in,
as
Mil-
the-
in
as
Minneapolis alone, they've taken
as-
away, I think it's over 1,600.
Glenn, they get as
Criminals.
many phone calls as the Boston Police Department. And the Boston Police Department
I don't
answers
know
their
that.
phone.
I don't know that to be true.
Well, you can make up stuff. They don't answer their own phone, Glenn. That's
Well,
terrible.
they should have some way of answering the phone.
Terrible.
They've got all these agents out there. They could hire some secretaries. I don't disagree with you, John. And the thing that people don't get are the numbers of criminals. The rapists, the child molesters, everybody else that they're pulling off the streets. And the thing that baffles me is how the local people and communities want the criminals to stay. They're arguing that don't bother our criminals. We like our criminals. Please keep them here.
I don't think that's the case, Glenn. And I think people want their loving neighbors to stay. There should be a path that they can jump on for citizenship.
Why?
Why not? This is the United States of America. How did you get here, Glenn?
We
were born
I was
here.
born here,
Oh,
but
no, I want to know from him. How'd you get here, Glenn?
I was born here.
So that's your excuse to citizenship?
Absolutely. That's
It is
what
for
it says
everybody
in the
else in the
Constitution.
world. But
And so a
before-
little piece of paper says it's legal. You need a new piece of paper say if you walk into the country, you're a citizen. And we've done that for 100 years.
No, we haven't. What are you talking about?
We
If you
just
could-
let everybody in the country, well, everybody's here can stay. We're going to forgive. Haven't we
President
done that?
That's,
Eisenhower did
what
that,
law what law book are you reading, John?
It doesn't say that currently. It has to be like an act of Congress.
If you
or something.
if you cross the border between the ports of entry and you don't go through inspection, you're here illegally, and illegally means exactly what I said: an illegal alien who has the ability to be deported because they aren't here properly in the first place. Come the right way, fine. We all believe in immigration. Our ancestors immigrated through Ellis Island. If you were sick on Ellis Island, they put you back on the ship and sent you home sick. And
they left children without parents if the parents left and the kid was fine. Now, the other thing that...
And you had a sponsor, and you didn't have to go on government support?
So the other piece is there's legislation out there that they're going to propose, and I do not agree with it, by the way. Now, Glenn may have a different opinion. Which many times we don't agree. But they want to have naturalized citizens that if they're committed a fraud or some other felony, they're deported and they're stripped of their citizenship, and I don't agree with that. I think that if they're naturalized citizens, they've gone through that process, they're citizens, and that they should go through the same judicial system as anybody that was born here or whatever the situation might be. They should have the same rights as those individuals. So I don't agree with that. I think that if you had the different cities and towns, as I said before Glenn got here, because I was just hitting some highlights, that if they turned over those individuals who are not citizens that have been prosecuted and processed and convicted of crimes, felonies, or misdemeanors in this country, and they have them in their possession, if they turned those guys all over to ICE, ICE wouldn't be searching neighborhoods for them.
Right.
And then there's a lot of other pieces to this that I find not only illogical, but I don't understand. You have different states that have rules on protests. Or if you have, they want to march, you have to get a permit. The police department is notified there's going to be a march, just to make sure that those that march are safe and those that they march against are safe. This is not happening when ICE shows up anywhere in some of the sanctuary cities or states. It isn't because of what they're doing there, it's because of the way they're approaching it. And I said here, and have since in the past year, the whole year, and some individuals that are no longer on this program should remember that I have stated that if they would do that.
Don't even go there, okay? Don't even, just turn the page, okay? Turn the page.
So, as you go forward, I do not think that I'd like, John, for you to tell me, what do you think the components are of a peaceful protest?
Well, the peaceful protest they had in City Hall the other night was just absolutely terrible. They come in there with their loudspeakers, yelling and screaming at in the hallways of City Hall. They had about a half dozen speakers they got to speak, and they're all done. The calamity starts all over again with all the noise in the hallway. They had to end the meeting early because they lost the quorum, or whatever they want to call it. And
no police were called?
there's only one cop there and probably 50 of these
And they-
hoodlums.
What was the issue that they were speaking for or against?
The ICE, the movement of the ICE people, of the people they deem illegal immigrants, and the city council can't do anything about that. It's like, and I explain this to other friends that get mad as hell at me. The IRS doesn't tell you when they're going to come after you. They're not going to send a letter to the local police department saying, hey, we're coming after Tutti Frutti today. They're not going to do that. Federal agencies don't cooperate with local authorities. That's a fact. And ICE is not going to cooperate with us either. End of story.
Well, some of the stuff that I read said that ICE had contacted different cities and towns and said, knew that they had possession of criminals that were not citizens, and that they were going to come and get them, and they released them into the communities.
That were already detained, were
Yes,
in jail.
they
Yes,
were
of
in
course.
jail. They went through a process. They went through the judicial system. That's due process for what it is that they have a problem with. Please define due process if that isn't it for those individuals. So if you wouldn't have the amount of invasive activity within communities, if you just handed those guys over.
What everybody should ask themselves is, why do we have this problem to begin with? What caused this? It was a plan, primarily by the Democrats, to bring in as many people as they possibly could through an open border into the country, so that they could change the makeup of districts by head count and get more seats in the House. The Senate won't change, obviously. And then provide a path to citizenship for as many people as they could get across the border. That's why they opened the border wide open, said, hey, come on in, wherever in the world you're from, come on in. We've got health care for you, we've got education, we've got housing, we've got food, we've got all these benefits you can have. Come on in. They even made up T-shirts that says, thank you, Biden, for having us come into your country.
Okay, you can keep sitting on the soapbox over there. What do we do now?
Well, that's the question. The whole idea by the plan from the Democrats was bring in so many people that it would be nearly impossible to get them out. So the question is, do we do nothing, which is one end of the spectrum, or do we do what apparently happening right now is try to get as many illegal aliens out of the country as possible because they shouldn't be here in the first place? The plan was, and the Democrats weren't hiding this. They stated it. They said for all these 20 million illegal immigrants that come into the country, we want to provide them a pathway to citizenship. Now think that through. If you're providing health care, education, and food and housing services and all, literally $200 billion of American taxpayer money every year to support these people, they're going to want to vote for you if you're the one that's keeping them well cared for. And that was the Democrat plan, a pathway to citizenship. Kamala Harris said it, so did a number of other prominent Democrats. We want to make them citizens, and you just add the rest of the sentence, so they'll vote for Democrats. That's not what they said, but it's obvious. If somebody's providing all your needs, you're going to vote for them. And that's why back in the early days, in the 20s, you had to have a sponsor here so the government didn't pay for, your housing, your food, your education, everything else like we are now.
This slide is what was put out there to encourage people to show up at the city council meeting. 1 year of Trump 2.0, Lowell, stop ICE terror, join the nationwide shutdown January 20th. A nationwide shutdown was going to start at Lowell City Hall.
January 20th. Did you see the impact of that? It was terrible.
I just spoke of it. I just spoke of it about the city council meeting.
Well, what shut down? I didn't see any things shut down.
They had to shut down their meeting.
A meeting. That's very impactful. No, it's not.
Well, this is how they circulate stuff. And for everybody out there that spends their day on Facebook like me, I didn't see this. One of our viewers just sent this to me now, and this is how people communicate with one another.
Do you see any negative spin in that poster? Do you see anything that would suggest to you that something terrible is happening?
Right here, this tells me it's the Democrats. 1 year of Trump 2.0.
Right.
And I say to them, 3 more years.
Yeah. So I had sent, but somebody can look it up if they want to. There was a post on Facebook, and it was a letter. I don't know how accurate the letter is, but it's got the seal of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and it was in December, and it was sent to the Attorney General of the state of Illinois. I mean, we all talk about Minnesota, but there's other states out there. And what ICE had said was that the state of Illinois has tens of thousands of illegal aliens currently in state custody. They are people who are not in the country legally. Since January 20th, 2025, the state of Illinois has released 1,768 illegal aliens with active ICE detainers back onto American streets. The crimes include homicides, assaults, burglaries, they give all the numbers, dangerous drug offenses, weapon offenses, and sexual predatory offenses. Later in it, it says there are currently 4,015 aliens in the custody of an Illinois jurisdiction with active detainers. The crimes of these aliens include 51 homicides, 1,134 assaults, 107 burglaries, 36 robberies, 275 dangerous drug offenses, 120 weapon offenses, and 813 sexual predatory offenses. If all of those individuals were given to ICE so they could be deported, like they did under other presidents, then you would not see as much invasive activity that they are accusing them of. And if you were to go and throw a rock at a member of the Lowell Police Department, I think that you would be arrested for assault with a deadly weapon. And yet we see on camera people throwing anything and everything at federal officers. So we're coming up to 7 o'clock. And we're going to take a short break, so we have transition, and stay with us for more discussion. Thank you.
All righty, we'll give that a shot now.
Some of the stuff I sent you.
When you're ready, we'll go back to the show. There's no hurry.
Right, but I sent you some pictures of
Put your mic on.
Mine's on.
Yep. Well, hey, we're back. I mean, I sent an awful lot of
My mic
articles
on? Yeah, it's on.
and a number of things to everybody.
No, I see, on break, I shut your mics off over here.
Ah,
So now they're on again.
And now
the
they're,
man behind the curtain.
Welcome back.
Well,
I'm
the
Evelyn
man
Thoren.
behind
This
the
is City
curtain.
Life, and now we're live in Lowell, as far as we're aware. We've been live in the other communities since 6
no, we're
o'clock.
not live in Lowell. Lowell's broken. Lowell's
Lowell
gonna
is-
be broken until, at least Friday.
Oh,
They
so
had
we're not
what's
live
called-
in Lowell, so we can say
The
stuff about
question
Lowell.
is, who broke Lowell?
Well, this is what they call, it's a computer. They call it a
Of
server.
course.
They call it
the
a server.
server has issues in Lowell.
And
But as
it's-
far as we're aware,
I'm gonna
we're
talk,
on in the
Ev.
other
I'm
communities.
gonna talk until I'm done talking. You asked a question. And so, I called Adam McClune yesterday, the guy who runs LTC. And he said the server's busted, it's 15 years old, and, they're gonna get a new one, should be operational on Friday. That's what they got their fingers crossed for. So you won't see, the only thing you can watch right now is you can watch some city hall meetings on YouTube. That's the only place you can watch them. So back over to you.
Right, but we are on Facebook, correct?
We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube.
YouTube, yep, and we are
And we're on in
Chelmsford,
Chelmsford,
yep, and in Chelmsford, this will
Tewksbury,
repeat
Drake.
on Sunday and on Tuesday. Please check local listings to find out timeframes. And again, you can call or text 978-808-8200 if you have a comment, if you'd like to ask us questions. I'm not sure about debating the issues because you'd be on a telephone. It'd be
And-
easier if you wanted to be here.
School's 100% on time today, so grab little Evelyn or little Glenn and drive them to school. School's on time, no delays.
Why would there be delays? It's just a dusting of snow out there.
Oh, yeah, right.
So
Well,
in
there are
New England,
delays
a
in West
dusting is 6 inches or
Now,
less.
Glenn, when you were a little boy, didn't you hope for a delay or a day off? when you saw snow?
Absolutely.
What?
Don't you remember growing up, you were looking for days off from school?
There could be a foot of snow that fell overnight, and it's still snowing, and in Arlington, where I grew up, they would not call off school. I mean, it'd have to be an enormous problem, because I remember walking through snowstorms with boots on, driving snow, and school was still on full day.
Yeah, doesn't happen anymore.
No, it's not even close. Since our kids were growing up, they called off school sometimes before it snowed.
So when they see
called
white
off
out,
in
when
advance.
the kids see white out the window, they like to, oh, maybe no school today.
Well, the teachers supported that very strongly.
There's,
They don't mind having a day
but
off either.
in your community, there's no delays. School is on time everywhere.
Right,
Good.
in case anybody wanted to know.
And it's going to be in the 40s today, so it'll be like spring.
Anyway, so our guest today is Glenn Thoren. Sam's
Doctor.
not with
Very
us
nice-
this
very
morning.
nice to meet you.
Dr. Glenn Thoren.
Yeah, I don't call him that. And Sam's not with us this morning.
don't go there.
And we hope to see him next week. Again, Bob Hoey is on Tuesdays. If you're just tuning in and saying, where are all these people that we used to watch? And because of some health reasons, he's doing one day a week. And so we hope at some point he'll be able to come back on a Thursday to be with us, even if it's our guest. So if you're listening, Bob, you can think about that. So you can just come in for an hour or even 30 minutes and talk to us about what your issues are or what might be bothering you or something that you would want us to talk about, because that would be good. And then we always have John McDonough behind the camera. This is not a scripted show.
That's for sure.
Yeah, that definitely, because we're all over the place with our comments. And it's our opinions, and it may be somebody else's opinions, but it's not the opinions of any of the telemedia programs that's there or the local communities. Although there are an awful lot of people that do share the same opinions that we do. Sometimes they just aren't on TV telling you what they are. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff that's in the news, a lot of controversy. We touched upon some of the ICE stuff, and a lot of people are talking about they want ICE to follow the rule of law. What is your opinion on ICE following the rule of law, Glenn?
Oh, you want an opinion?
Well, we could have some
This is not the opinion
facts.
of telemedia or any of the hosts of the show.
Stop, Glenn.
So, I mean, the question, controversy is everywhere. I'd like to find sometimes when we have a few things to talk about that are not controversial, like, I don't know, the U.S. space program, putting astronauts back on the moon, things like that. I don't think that's controversial. But as far as ICE is concerned, we had a little conversation a few minutes ago about why we have the problem in the first place. You have to understand that this has been a plan all along, and it wasn't a hidden plan. The Democrats have said very clearly that they want to make all the illegal aliens that they have let in through the open border, somewhere between 10 and 20 million of them, I lean towards the high side, into U.S. citizens. And the argument I made a few minutes ago that I'll repeat again is that the reason why they want to do this is if you've got 20 million new people that are flooding the districts of the United States, it changes the makeup of the districts that allows, according to the current form of the census, counting every head, whether they're citizens or not, as, representative for that district. So the more people you pour into a district, whether they're citizens or not, means the more representatives you get. And if these people get health care, education, housing, family services, food, everything else, and that assistance from the government, which amounts to about $20 billion a year of American taxpayer money, if that assistance keeps rolling in, they're going to vote for the people that provide that assistance. So the plan that the Democrats put together was to bring as many people in through open borders as possible and provide a pathway to citizenship. That wasn't hidden. That's exactly what they said they wanted to do. So when you look at the cause of what's going on right now, it's for the illegal immigrants that have come in, including, because there was no vetting, there was no inspection of them coming across the border. There are just tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of criminals that came with that group. Now, clearly there's some good people there that just wanted a better life, but if that's the case, they could come to the country legally instead of illegally. But again, it was just a plan to bring in more people under more U.S. welfare systems that would vote for the people that were providing the welfare, and the Democrats weren't trying to hide it. So now what are we stuck with? We've got communities that are fighting against ICE removing, number one, the criminals. 70% of all the arrests that ICE is making are criminal, illegal aliens, not people that just wanted to come in for a better life, but just plain criminals, murderers, rapists, child molesters, child traffickers, it's human traffickers, drug traffickers, and Tren de Aragua, and you've seen the people from Venezuela because they've been in the news lately. Those are the people that the protesters want to keep in their communities. I can't for the life of me understand that, and they're using the excuse as well. There's some good people we want to keep in our communities as well. But the people that they actually keep in the communities, the ones that should leave first, are the ones that are being detained by the local police forces and should be handed over to ICE for deportation, but they don't. So I can't understand, and nobody's ever been able to explain it to me, why the protesters want to keep illegal criminals of that magnitude from murder on down in their communities. It makes no logical sense. But I told you what the plan was, is to get Democrat voters, get a pathway to citizenship, and have them vote Democrat for the rest of their lives.
Well, there have been past presidents who have used ICE and have deported quite a few individuals.
President Obama did.
Well, yes, I have some information.
3 million people or so, and you should listen to a speech President Clinton gave while he was in office about illegal aliens coming into the country. It is breathtaking. It actually was a better speech given by President Clinton than President Trump has given. He made it very clear what the impact of, a flood of illegal aliens would be, and he said, we can't let this happen. We must remove these people from our country. But nobody goes back and listens to Clinton's speech because that was a few years ago, and even though Clinton is an icon of the Democratic Party, that speech doesn't coincide with the agenda of today. That's the part that's sort of like a cognitive dissonance of what the Democrats used to strongly believe, including Obama, to what they're actually doing today with their plan to bring in more Democrat voters.
Right, and when you take a look at the past presidents, there were no protests when they were deporting these individuals. And Obama was known as the deporter-in-chief. He removed more than 3 million non-citizens, the highest of any U.S. president, and nobody seemed to care. Now everybody would say, well, it was far more orderly. Well, that's because you didn't have all these protests. But if you took that time frame and put it in this time frame, you would, regardless. Or maybe you wouldn't if it was a Democratic president, because of other things that would be occurring.
Well, one thing Obama did was use the Border Patrol and ICE to remove them immediately before they got situated within the United States. So he was not only was a deporter-in-chief, he was a quick deporter-in-chief. You're here legally, goodbye.
Right. Then you have George W. Bush from 2001, 2008, and he oversaw roughly 2 million deportations over 2 terms. Biden got rid of 3 million. Clinton had quite a number of them also. This article doesn't tell me that number, but he also had more strict border enforcement. Eisenhower got rid of over 1 million, including U.S. citizens of Mexican descent, by conducting sweeps of farms and factories. I don't know if I'd have agreed with that one, but I mean, those are things that happen, because when Eisenhower was president, I was like 0 or 2. So there's a lot of information that is out there for you to have some facts on what other presidents did, and then what the reactions were as a result of that.
Look up the Clinton speech on YouTube. It was impressive.
This is from Google. Trump has deported a lot of people.
Those numbers look about right. I know it was well over 600,000 deported and approximately 2 million self-deported, because they understood that, if they were caught up, if they were associated with, criminals who were the top of the list and stuff like that, and they, found in the same house or something, they were going to go too. But that's probably correct, and that's just the beginning. You have to understand, what does that number look like? Something less than 3 million out of 20 million, which skews the census and provides, obviously, the opportunity for, pathway to citizenship for Democrat voters, which was the intent of opening the borders in the first place.
Well, regardless of how many came across the border, because there are arguments that it wasn't that number. So if we take that number and say, let's not even talk about that number. Let's talk about what we saw visually on camera, not just on moderate to conservative news channels, but also on liberal channels when they wanted to show it, how many people poured across the southern border under the last president. And you didn't have exactly the same situation in prior presidents. They were looking at those that came here. We remember that there were migrant workers that would come across the southern border in California, work the farms, and then go back home at night, and then come back, go back and forth. Something like that was a little different than what it is that we've currently seen, and I thought it was highly...
In the last 4 years, Evan, what you're looking at right here is the same source I asked the other question to, and it comes back and says there's 2.8 million people came in since 20 to 24.
Look at the bottom line. 3 million increase in 9 months. So that's 4 million in 12 months times 4 years is 16 million people. And those are the ones they know about. They're also the gotaways.
Right, but my point is that what's currently happening is they're trying to work with the ones that came across over the past 4 years. And the ones that you have that are criminals that have been convicted under due process in this country. And those are the ones that they wanted to get rid of because that's what the American people elected this current president to do. Now, that should not eliminate refugees or people trying to escape other countries for their lives. That has to be figured out whether or not when somebody claims that type of asylum, is it true or it's not. And that takes a lot more effort.
But typically, as they looked in the past, it's less than 5% of the people that are, quote, claiming asylum because they're told to claim asylum after they cross the border. Less than 5% actually have the criteria to claim asylum.
So, on a similar note but a different twist, since we don't know how many terrorists actually came across the border over the past 4 years, the last administration, when we have Iran make a threat, and it may be an unfounded threat, that if the United States attacks them, then they will retaliate. Do you think that we have enough cells in this country that he would activate them? That is, Iran would activate them?
Well, that's highly speculative.
Well, I like
use your
speculation.
imagination. Well, yeah,
it's not really conspiracy, but how else would he do that?
It's kind of like, was that in a movie that I don't remember the name of right now? So is it possible? Yes, of course it's possible. But if you remember, I don't know, John might remember, a few years ago, there were some foreign nationals that were scoping out the Quabbin Reservoir. And a couple of them were caught. So you have to ask yourself, why are foreign nationals scoping out the Quabbin Reservoir? To poison it? It's these kinds of things you have to be aware of. And you know that the FBI has scooped up a few groups. We have friends on the terrorist task force in the FBI. They've scooped up a few groups of people that were planning to do some bad things. You don't read about it because they're scooped up, they're put in jail, they go to court, they're convicted, and other things happen, but it doesn't make the news. Because that's not what mainstream media wants everybody to hear about. They want to hear about protests. I mean,
The
John,
government is not good about reporting. And again, I go back to, maybe you weren't here, Glenn, I tried to call ICE. You call ICE's Burlington office and it says, email us. That's what the answer machine said. Doesn't even talk to you.
Did you email them?
I'm going to email them today.
Okay,
Oh, good.
good.
I'm eager to see if you get a
But,
response.
I mean, when you call an office, they should answer the doggone phone.
Well, the problem is when you
I'm
have
going to guess
things
when
like,
I email
let me-
them, they're going to ignore my email too.
So you're a protester and you want to do everything you can to obstruct ICE, which, by the way, is a felony. You want to do everything you can to obstruct ICE. What do? You saturate their phone lines so that nobody can get any call in to tell ICE that, we've got some criminals in our neighborhoods that you should take a look at.
So
That's why they saturate
ICE's
the
solution
phones.
is we'll hear no one.
Pardon?
ICE's solution. You're talking malarkey, Glenn, okay? There's caller ID. They know who's calling them. It's a simple thing to do.
They can't filter that.
Oh, yes, they certainly can.
Oh, well, that takes an awful lot of time. But the other piece that I don't think that we're recognizing, and we can have this discussion, John, the other piece is that when we have local police, okay, we have 911, we do expect to have a live body on the other end that will help us in the sense of emergency.
Yep.
They will respond. Okay, so that's local police, and that's what their primary job is to protect the people in their community.
Well, no, now the police department hits the phone. Hello, if this is a true emergency, call 911. You call the freaking hospital. Same thing. If this is a true emergency, call 911.
Oh, yeah, you call
What
a
the hell
doctor's
is
office for an appointment.
Everywhere you go.
I understand that, but I
You
call a
call
doctor's office.
Zay's department store. Call 911. What the hell's them? Answer the doggone phone.
Well, they do answer it eventually.
I'm
so
with
I
you,
will tell
John,
you,
in most of this
when
stuff.
I have a call for a doctor's appointment, if this is an emergency, please call 911. Contact your local hospital. If it isn't, we have the following menu.
I'd like to ask the doctor right to his face, how many of your patients are that stupid?
Apparently all of them.
How many? Do you think we're all stupid?
Yeah.
Well, it's for insurance, the lawyers, the this, the that. Just answer the goddamn phone.
Well, anyway, to get back to the topic of ICE. ICE is a federal agency, and my understanding is they're not involved in, unless they're directed to do so, into local communities to protect the citizens in the local communities from other citizens in the local communities the same way that the police department is. So they have a different focus and purpose, and their purpose is to determine the security of the nation with regard to people that are here illegally, that are not citizens,
That's right.
that are causing crime. So if you have, and part of the crime is if they come a certain way into the country, just the sheer fact they put their foot in America could be that they broke the law. And that's going to, for me, it's going to an extreme, but we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But when you talk about ICE not answering the telephone, they may not have enough people to do that, but that's not their job, is to answer the phone if you have an emergency.
Yes, it is to answer. If you you go on the internet. What's the phone number for the White House? They answer the goddamn phone at the White House. Do you know that?
I
The
don't
White
know, I
House,
never
can I
s-
help you?
I've
You call Buckingham Palace. They answer the phone.
You don't know whether the notes they take actually go anywhere, but they do answer the phone. Yep.
So if there's a phone number out there, shouldn't they answer it, Evelyn?
Sometimes
Maybe not
the
with you in the
senators and
world.
I will
congressmen
tell
don't
you
answer
that
the phone.
you would expect that either you would have a live body or you would have a menu that you could leave a voice message.
We should all ask ourselves this question. When you get on the telephone, is it your intention when you dial somebody up to talk to a computer?
No,
Why is it acceptable that the government does that to us?
but it isn't just the government that
But we
does
have
that.
so many calls. Kiss my ass.
Right, but it isn't just the government that does that. You've got private businesses that do that too. I mean, I had a family member that tried to straighten out some really screwy crap with regard to their parents' bank accounts. And for 6 months, there was a call made every week to ask the question. Every person asked for the same information that had already been sent, and there was no action.
This was a large brokerage firm. I think.
Very large. They answered the phone. You eventually got a body, and they did nothing for 6 months, and withdrew and withdrew funding the individual's account. So it doesn't only happen that you have screwed up crap happening at the federal
Yeah, but
level. You got it everywhere because people don't do it.
People get used to organizations and politicians and stuff like that talking and doing nothing, or saying they'll do something and they don't do anything. That gets so frustrating, but it begins to become what you accept as normal. They'll talk, they'll promise, and nothing will happen. That's like the presidency. Between the last president and this president, somebody who just talks or barely talks and does nothing, and somebody who talks a lot and does a lot. That's kind of unsettling to a lot of people because they expect nothing to happen. Like Greenland, for example. It was 3 or 4 days ago. I was talking to a friend about what's going to happen in Greenland. Oh, Trump's going to invade Greenland. We're going to start a war with Denmark. Yeah, a war with Denmark. Seriously, don't even say that because that makes no sense. We're going to invade Greenland and we're going to have the European nations against us. I said, look, what Trump is saying right now is how you negotiate when you're trying to establish an initial leverage point against other people who will disagree with your final outcome. The final outcome to me was very clear, is that we need to have some expanded role in Greenland in order to protect the Arctic and the northern access to our country, which is where the ballistic missiles from Russia would come, or the high velocity missiles, hypersonic missiles from Russia would come, and also the traffic that occurs through the northern passages between China and Europe. So in order to have that kind of security protection, which has been a need for a long time, but nobody realized, that Trump says, well, there are a lot of options, including just taking it. But you knew he wasn't going to do that, because that's ridiculous. Again, as a New York, people forget this guy was a New York real estate developer that knows a lot more about leverage and negotiation than any president we've had in the White House in our lifetime. And so where are we now? There's some arrangement with Greenland that's going to take place. And, they didn't say what it was, except that it's moving forward. And my guess is that the United States will have sovereign authority over certain parts of Greenland, which are parts that we would need to have military bases on in order to protect, the northern hemisphere, North America and such. But they'll be located in Greenland, and my guess is they will be U.S. property. Just like embassies in foreign countries are U.S. property. If you attack an embassy that we have in any country, that land is United States property. We own it. And in Greenland, you'll need a little bit larger footprint, but that will also help Denmark and Europe and everything else in the search for minerals.
Well, did you hear that Trump was calling the place Iceland this morning?
Say that again, John, please.
Did you hear President Trump was calling the piece of land he's trying to grab Iceland this morning?
Well, it is all ice.
No,
Well, you
I
might have
didn't
said
hear
that. I make
Come
that
on,
mistake
there's a
sometimes.
country called Iceland right next to it.
Yeah, you know the difference. Iceland is green and Greenland is icy. That's
I know the difference.
Yeah.
Yet, where is the president today?
he's in Davos right now,
What country?
Switzerland.
So, is Greenland a different country than Iceland?
Of course it is.
So why would he was calling it Iceland this morning?
Hey, it's slip of the tongue. Everybody knows what he's talking about. He's not talking about Iceland for anything.
The guy's tired.
Well, he's
Oh, I'm sure he
the
is.
pace
Hey,
he,
look, we
the
owe it to
pace he
viewers.
keeps
let's
up.
Let's talk about this for 5 minutes. We got this gigantic. We got 70 feet of snow coming. It's going to be 500 degrees below zero, so we should prepare for the storm. So
This is good. Do this.
AI says you should secure your home, stocking on all kinds of essentials. Key actions include gathering non-perishable food, flashlights, batteries, boiled water, and prescription medication. Here's a comprehensive list: food and water, light and power.
Not candles. No.
Well, it's if you have a candle and you're going to watch it, okay. Heating, so keep yourself toasty. I just hope you lose electricity. Safety gear: battery powered NOAA radio. Nah, I don't believe NOAA anyway. But personal extra diapers. But I guess we do need some diapers, including your home, to prevent frozen pipes. Now, the trick I use in all the old buildings that I'm involved with is we put a fan on in the cellar. And that moves the air around just enough so we don't get any frozen pipes.
Good idea.
And it's worked for me for 50 years, so consider putting a fan down your cellar. It just moves the air around a little bit better. Sealed drafts. Yeah, like I'm going to do that. I ain't going to do that. Get up there with my towel.
They should have been sealed
We'll
already.
give you
Thank
some,
God is-
give
that
you some
ain't-
masking tapes.
That ain't happening either. I'm going to turn on the de-icer.
Well, we got to get up on the roof and clean out the drains.
Well, don't forget to get your black outfit out for Saturday night after the football game. Get your bicycle and your black outfit out and head for the streets. Because that's what we do in Lowell. We ride our bicycle in the snowstorm in a black outfit. And then we say, that car shouldn't have hit me.
Yeah, that's not a good idea. But this is a good list. And one of the things I want to add to the list is if you have a battery-powered flashlight and the lights go out, you don't know where you are going to be standing in the house when the lights go out.
If it's at night.
And if it's at night. And if it's at night, put the flashlight where almost in the dark you can go and find
Well,
it.
Glenn, on your phone,
Yeah, you gotta.
How do you
light
turn
it.
your flashlight on?
But you gotta have your phone.
I don't
near
have my
you.
phone.
I'm asking Glenn this question. I'll come back to you in just a, Evelyn loves to
Hang
help
on,
with
hang on,
answers.
Ev, hang on.
How do you turn the flashlight on your phone?
Well, I have an app that's an app on the second screen that I tap onto, and it's got calculators, flashlights, compasses, and everything else, and that's where it is.
Okay. On my phone, I touch a button on the side, turn flashlight on, and it turns on.
Well,
Oh, good.
yeah, all the
Evelyn, how
better.
do you turn your flashlight on?
Mine, same way. I have the same phone he has. I have to get into my phone. I have to pull it down, and there's a little button there. So it's several steps.
Okay.
It works, but you don't always have your phone on, so if you have a battery-powered flashlight, put it someplace where you can easily find it. Don't have it
It's on my phone.
hidden up. Well, if you okay.
Your
Well,
phone's
know where
always
your
with you. Where do you go without your phone?
or know where your phone is. Now, you make sure your phone is charged. That's another thing, by the way.
Oh, I told him
So
about
if
the
your
Gulu.
phone, if your phone is sitting around, have a charger so that it's on the charger, so you don't have like 10% when the power goes out. But we've been through this whole, we don't have any more diaper issue. Well, no diaper issues anymore, so that's not an issue. But every one of my kids, and we have generators. They're not the built-in generators, they're the kind you got to roll out of the basement or a shed or something like that. Put gasoline in, power it up, plug it into your house. And, it's good for 12 hours on a tank full of gas. And that does the job quite nicely. And so if it's several days, I've got enough gas for several days, and we're good to go.
My sister Lisa has a Generac. Oh, it's freaking wonderful. The lights
Yeah,
go off.
Yours is built in, right? Yours is a stationary unit.
We have a portable generator. That's all we have.
Yeah.
We've lost our lights in my lifetime 3 times.
Well, you should live in Chelmsford. So,
We used,
3 times.
we had this conversation last
And
week.
then we
used
have,
to
in
lose
the
a lot.
summertime, we might lose the lights for an hour, but overnight, 3 times in my lifetime.
I just want to make sure the heat's running. You have to have electricity to get the heat running. We have gas heat, but you've got to get the circulators going, so that requires electricity. So the generators are big enough that we can turn on everything of it that's essential in the house, including the refrigerators and what have you, on our Generac generator. We had home light generators before, and now all the boys have a generator, and some of them have, bigger generators than I have. You roll them out, plug them in, turn them on, you're good.
Okay? It's better off you do nothing. The lights go out, the generator kicks in, and you're all set. You just,
Right, but you didn't tell
Yours
him
is
about
an
the Gulu.
automatic, right? Yours is an automatic
my
generator.
sister's is. We don't have one.
So
I'm
there
too
are
cheap.
also other devices that you can purchase, like the Gulu, and that also would charge your telephone.
Phones, but nothing else really.
Right, but it would charge your phone. If the power goes out, you can't plug it into your car, because I have a car that in order for you to be able to do that, I have to turn my car on to do it. I no longer have like an where I could just hit my
Yeah, if
key.
you just press the button and don't hit the brake, it goes to alternative.
Yeah, I'll
We'll
tell you
figure
about
it
that
out.
later.
But
Yeah,
anyway, the
that's-
thing is that you're gonna use up that power. So this is just a small device that we use to jumpstart the cars if we need to.
So if you have nothing to do today,
Go buy
look
a
around
Gulu.
for that gizmo you bought 5 years ago to power up your phone
Oh, we know where they are.
and charge it up so it's
Yep.
ready to go. And make sure you have enough bottled water. And
Yeah, you're good.
Yep.
You're good.
I figure I'll
The
go food
water
shopping
should still
today.
flow. So if your water is drinkable, and between Lowell and Chelmsford, that's questionable, right, with all the PFAS and everything in it. But if your water is drinkable, you've got water sources, and so the one thing, as a public service announcement, we found these, and a lot of people have them, these little lithium battery kits. One that we bought is called GOOLOO, Gulu,
are
but
you
they come
guys
in.
comfortable temperature-wise? I'm going to kill the heat.
Say again?
It's warm in here.
Yeah. Are you comfortable temperature-wise? I'm
Yeah,
going to kill the heat.
it's warm, so there's no, once I leave here, I'll be able to keep the windows open on the car as I drive home, but,
I'm with you.
so
Come on.
if you don't have one of those lithium battery jump starters, we have used ours, and I have several of them, many times, probably 20 times, and my son used his. The way I found out about it is my car died down in Quincy, and my son happened to be in the area with his jump starter and was able to jump start the car immediately and say, that's very cool. What is it? It's just a lithium battery. And the one thing about lithium batteries is they can dump a lot of energy very quickly. They can just dump energy, so you don't need to have another car, beside you running in order to get your car jump started, you hook on the two small cables. This thing's about the size of a large paper book. Once you hook up the cables and go to your ignition, the car will start up, and it'll jump start a car probably 20 times because it's got a 0 to 100% meter on the front of the jump starter. And when I jump start a car, it'll go down to 94, might go down to 95. So there's a lot of jump starts left. And it's come in handy a lot of times because sometimes people will leave a light on in the car. They'll go out and find out, geez, my battery's dead. What do I do now? You hook this thing up, car starts right up. And some of the little bit larger sizes of these, they come very, very small, but the typical size would be able to start a truck or a school bus. So think about it. If you have a neighbor that has one, find out what they got and maybe go out and buy yourself a birthday present or a Christmas present, late Christmas present of a lithium battery jump starting device. And ours was a Gulu, but they come again. You can buy them at Walmart and everything else. They're somewhere between $60 and $100, and we found that it was a great investment, a terrific investment. So it's something you ought to look into. But with a storm coming, we haven't had a big 1-foot storm in a couple of years that I can recall. Have we, Evelyn?
Not a big one. I think they said the last huge one like this was 2016.
Yeah, because I remember when we were up in New Hampshire, we had a storm where we went to bed one night and we woke up the next day and there was 12 inches of snow on the cars, which is a lot of snow. So make sure that you've got gas in the snowblower or whoever cleans out your driveway. Make sure that you've got enough food you don't have to have food for a month. Enough food for about 3 or 4 days. Give the town a chance to clean up the streets and everything else, and the stores to open back up again if they close. But it's not atypical for Massachusetts to have a foot of snow. It turns out on the news, we're listening to a New York station that said they were something like 6 feet behind the typical snow accumulation, and that affects the lakes and streams and everything else when the snow melts in the spring. And they said Boston was 100 inches behind the typical snow accumulation. So getting the extra snow is going to be annoying, but it's not harmful. It's helpful. And we did choose to live in New England, so this is fine. And actually, I prefer it to 105-degree days for 2 months.
Well, as I had said in the first hour, that a lot of people don't realize that snow melt equals groundwater. And there's a lot of areas in this country where wells are going dry because there's no water underground. I mean, obviously. But when you have a higher snow melt, then you have increased groundwater. If you have a lot of snow, you also have runoff from the mountains into ponds, streams, and lakes and dams or whatever it is that's downstream from wherever the water's going. Granted that you have the state of California that decided to divert most of that out into the ocean for a particular reason, but that has since changed. So you have a natural occurrence in order to be able that we would have the ability to have all that water. One of the things that I had in terms of groundwater is that everybody talks about all these data centers that's going to power all of the different devices and AI and everything that's out there, but the problem is they use the groundwater to cool their facility or whatever water is closest, and that's an issue because now you're using a very what do you want to call it, precious commodity that's in this
But the good thing about
country.
cooling like that is they're not adding anything to the groundwater. It's not like they're adding chemicals or it's just raw cooling. Water goes in at a lower temperature, cools the equipment. Water goes back out into the ground. So, you're losing a little bit through evaporation and such, but you're not causing any pollution damage.
Right, but you're also diverting it, and it's one more usage of what that would be. And they're also using a lot of farmland to do it because that's where you have all of the land that's being
You
left.
need
So
volume
there's a
and
lot of
space.
stuff like that with regard to that. But
from the data center point of view, a lot of people don't realize that there's going to be a lot of artificial intelligence applications and things that improve, the economy. But for that, you need to have storage capability and processing capability, and all that requires something called electricity. And what we have a concern with in the United States is the electrical grid hasn't been kept up to date. That needs to change. We need to have more power lines, especially around Boston. Around New York City and around Boston and a few places in California, they have a thing called grid density. And that's how much power per square mile is required in that particular community. So the grid density in this neighborhood, and certainly Lowell would qualify, is very, very high. An aging grid, portends problems in the future if you try to pump more electricity through it for whatever purposes. When my grandfather built his house in Arlington in the 1920s, they had one of the best electrical services in the house. They had wires that were standing on ceramic insulators in the house, and they had an enormous 40 amp service, 40 amps for the entire house. And now typical houses have 200 amp service because of all the electrical devices in the house, not to mention hair dryers and microwave ovens and everything else is powered by electricity. An enormous change because, in 100 years, the requirements for electricity has evolved that much. So in Chelmsford, and I'm pretty sure the same thing is going on in Lowell, everybody is taking a look at their gas bills and their electric bills, which are the primary energy bills that everyone gets, and saying, oh my gosh, these bills are a lot higher than they were last year. And, there's reasons for that. We use a lot of electricity in New England, and we don't have the supply of electricity. People think, put up more windmills. Windmills and solar farms provide a very, very small amount of electricity into your community. So, for what they're worth, they're nice to do, but the amount of return on investment is not that good. Even if you put solar on your roof, it's years and years before you recover the cost of that. So where do we get our power? I read in Massachusetts, in New England, we get about 50% of our power from natural gas. In Massachusetts, it could be as high as 75% of our power from natural gas. From wind and solar, we're in New England again, it's, single digits, low single digits percentage of our powers come from solar and wind. We still have nuclear power, so we're generating nuclear power. But people are wondering, why are our bills so high? Because in the wintertime, we don't have enough pipeline supply to New England, of which we draw on, to get natural gas for electricity and for home heating. So the prices are very high because we have to import liquid natural gas from Tobago and other countries. They come in these big LNG tankers. They go into Everett. They offload the liquid natural gas into the storage tanks, into the pipelines, and that's expensive natural gas. It wasn't too many years ago when Maura Healey was Attorney General that she blocked 2 gas pipelines coming into New England. And the argument is, well, they wouldn't help that much. They weren't terminating in Massachusetts and stuff like that. But a separate study said that it would have saved consumers $2.8 billion. And some people want to hear that and some people don't want to hear that. But the reason why energy is so high, they tack on other stuff into your energy bills. You are actually paying for people that have solar panels on their house or electric vehicles because there are recovery charges on your bills, even though you don't have those. You pay for subsidies to other people that have those. And so the government has a way of trying to, take money from you to give it to other people for their energy agenda. It used to be climate control, but that's going out of vogue because, the climate control issues are beginning to be exposed as more of a scam for money moving than anything else. We all want to take care of the environment. So when you want to take care of the environment, you leave every place you've been better than you found it, and you don't put waste into the environment if you can put it someplace else or remove it. So doing the right things is obviously very helpful for the climate and your local climate. People that think that what the United States does is going to save the world in what they call climate change, because climate's always changing, it's not going to happen. That's not the way the system works. The protesters should go over to China because they're building coal-fired plants every week. They get a lot of coal from the United States, but they're building their energy resources when the United States is not. And we can't replace the power generated from high-density coal-fired plants with solar or wind and such as that. And who makes the solar panels? Who makes the windmills? China. So they're selling you solar panels and windmills that are less effective, less efficient, and they say, well, don't don't pollute the world with your coal and your natural gas and your oil and stuff like that. Buy our solar panels and our wind farms from China, so they make money and they suppress the United States' ability to generate energy. That's all changing. We have new management in town that knows the difference between getting energy from solar panels and getting energy from fossil fuels.
All right. Well, that was a long little description.
Oh, I can
about
go on
different
more.
things. I know that. I know
I've
you
got
can
another
go.
20 minutes.
Yes, I know that. I know that.
And bills are high, and I don't like the bills being high.
There was
There's a
somebody
way
that
to
put-
fix that.
There was somebody that put their sewer bill online and asked if everybody else had it that high. That person needs to check to make sure there's no leaks in their house, because nobody should have a bill that high. In Chelmsford, the sewer bill is dependent upon what your water intake is.
Use less, you pay less. Electricity, water,
Now, the other
gas,
thing,
everything else.
we always start in January, at least because we are from Chelmsford. We have an election, a local election in Chelmsford, in the first Tuesday in April. I don't know if John has the ability to take a look at the Town of Chelmsford website, where they have a list of the different, who's pulled papers so far, what offices are available for those people that are in Chelmsford.
April.
First Tuesday in April. So, okay, so we'll do this next week. But anyway, they're just verbally, anyway, there are two positions for the Board of Selectmen. One is a one-year position. John Curland has already pulled papers for that.
That's right. That was good news. That was very good news.
The other position is for 3 years, and that is it's a single position. It's open, and so that's the regular election seat that is up this year. You have two positions for the Chelmsford School Committee, and 3 people have pulled papers, and my understanding is they've returned them. You have Planning Board, and there's 2 positions open there, I think. And then there's a lot of other positions. The last time I checked, we had the Housing Authority. Nobody had pulled that. I think that's a 5-year term, but I'm not sure. And then we have all the town meeting reps from the different precincts that are up.
1/3 of them are reelected every year or elected every year.
Right.
Do you guys have the Senate race out in town, February 3rd?
No,
Okay.
I don't know that there's an election February 3rd. That's why I said if we put it up, we'd know.
Well, the
I have
Senate
got no-
race for Eddie Kennedy's, late Eddie Kennedy's seat.
I think that's
it's
Lowell.
February 3rd is the preliminary, a
Yeah,
primary.
interesting.
I think that's low.
In Chelmsford, down by the high school, there's a big field by the Chelmsford High School, and right next to it was a little plot of land. I think it was owned by Sonny Avila, that had horses and cows on it. It's sort of a wedge-shaped piece of land between the middle school, McCarthy Middle School, and the high school. And a point of discussion on Facebook recently is what's happening to that piece of land, because the horses are gone, the cows are gone, part of it's wetland. Well, apparently, there's some builder's going to put 2 houses on this piece of land, which is the strangest place to put houses. It's between 2 major roads, right between schools and everything else. Clearly somebody's going to buy these houses, but just looking at that particular plot, I wouldn't want to buy a house there. It's a very, very strange place. But if a builder can put a house there and appropriately screen it with whatever shrubbery or trees are available, it'll be the most accessible house in the town, literally feet away from the police station. And if they do it right, they might do okay in selling it. But it was a surprise that that piece of land, which I always thought was mostly wetland, was able to have enough space for 2 houses. It'll be interesting to see what they look like. So people are talking about that among their gas and electric bills.
Somebody's fooling around with the internet. I just got a message from 2015.
2015?
Yeah.
2015.
Wow.
Was there anything important going on back then?
No, but I got messages from Eileen Donahue, 2015.
Well, they've been saving it for
And they're
you.
like, well, I'm glad I look at the dates.
Oh, maybe they blocked you. I don't know. And now they've unblocked you, and all the messages that were waiting for you are now flying through.
Hey, you never know. I asked my phone, and It doesn't appear that we are involved in that particular election. But when I did put it up, as far as does Chelmsford participate in that February 3rd election, it did come up, the link to everything that's on the Chelmsford website. So,
Oh, John, I had a question for you. I keep forgetting to ask it. I wanted to ask it about an hour ago. What do you think about this Democrat proposal in the state House and Senate to tax drivers on how many miles they drive every year based on, you got to get an inspection, and then when you get your inspection, they put down what your odometer reading is, and taking that mileage that you've driven your car over the previous year when you get it inspected, they tax you on the amount of miles you've driven.
We have to, the citizens have to rise up and put these people out of office.
Good.
Once they build this railroad, like the marijuana board in Massachusetts, the gambling board in Massachusetts, they're all getting big fat paychecks, and they do nothing.
That's right.
And this big thing of like, you're going to go over to your Bobby Stevens gas station, going to get the sticker on your car, and the guy goes out, oh, the fee for the sticker is going to be $1,080 because you drove too much. And I ain't paying that.
You get it,
Then you're not getting a sticker.
so you can't drive at all.
And your car is impounded.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess how do you get it home?
No, it's impounded.
Huh?
and that he can take it over.
We can't let the government put this on the tracks. Don't even let them create a railroad for it. Just get rid of this right now.
Yeah,
Don't let them even have one meeting. Get rid of them.
There seems to be no end to the new ideas that they think of to try and control your life. You know, and this is just another Democrat idea. You know, if we charge you for every mile driven, we can get, billions of dollars more taxes, from you. They get, I don't know, what is it, $23 billion a year at the state level from property taxes. It's crazy. And yet they keep offering new ways to redistribute your money.
The government is not here to help you. They're here to help themselves.
Yeah. We're still trying to figure out, and people are looking into it, how Ilhan Omar in Minnesota, you've heard about Minnesota lately,
That's an understatement.
she went from, I think it was $250,000 of net worth to $30 million of net worth in less than 2 years. Mainly through her husband's or whoever she's married to now.
She's a happy
company.
camper.
Yep. So, I'd like to find out what the secret is of going from $0 to $30 million in less than 2 years legally. And the fraud that's in, the reason why Governor Walz is not running for re-election is he knows what's behind all this fraud, and he knows that his administration is part of it. His attorney general said, well, we can just kind of ignore it as billions of dollars go flying, into pockets that doesn't belong with fraud. And if we can just cut back the fraud that occurs on Medicare and through all these government programs that were opened up over the past few years, and people are writing checks for invoices where there's nothing behind the invoice because nobody ever checks on,
Well, Glenn, do you know
did you
anybody-
provide that service? Did you do
can talk
anything?
all that malarkey all you want. Do you know anybody who's been audited by the IRS in the last 10 years? So what makes you think
couple of businesses, but not personal.
the
not-
government is going to do their job?
Well,
The government's
now
not
it
gonna
sounds
do
like if
Sounds
they're
like they are now.
investigating it, they're going to be looking into,
They're
who's.
looking at
No, they're
billions.
not. It's all about the other side. Let's get our side has to win. Like this business of right now, they're charging the Clintons with something silly. Now,
Contempt
Trump's
of
going to
Contempt of
Congress.
Congress. He refuses to testify, or his
Trump's
wife,
gotta
about
realize-
anything on the Epstein files.
Trump's going to realize they're going to come after him when he's out of office.
Well,
No,
they
they're going
come
to come
after him
while
all
he's
the
in
time.
office. So
All the time.
there's
You forget the
we're
first
going to run
term.
out of time on some of these issues, and there's a couple of things you guys brought up. I just sent you a link, John. If you can open up that link, the last link. We were talking about taxes.
Did you send it to you and Sam, or did you send it to just you?
I sent it to the mass text. If you want, I can
The
put it.
mass text?
Yeah, mass, MASS. So that's you, me, and Sam.
Okay.
So it should be like
Well, why
the first.
are you waking Sam up?
I'm not waking him up.
He's not
He's
gonna,
already awake.
he's at a doctor's
Well,
appointment or
what makes you
something.
think he wants your text right now?
Because he reads this.
Okay,
It's of interest. We have
All
conversations
righty.
outside of here.
it's coming up now.
Okay, and then there's one other thing before we end, which I think should be amusing.
If it's about old cars or politics, Sam wants to know.
Right, but this is something that might be
All
of
right.
interest, if he can get it up there.
But I'm used to
Okay.
getting texts from Evelyn at 4:00 in the morning.
So I thought this
The
was
most
interesting.
popular shoe polish.
I thought this was interesting because you made a comment, or you had a brief discussion about them wanting to keep track of the mileage in Massachusetts on each car
All this
that
is
you
true that
drive.
I'm reading here. This is crazy.
I can't see it very well.
I can
But
see it.
anyway, 10 crazy things Democrats have taxed or tried to. And so when you read through this, plus they want to tax the air you breathe, and I don't know where that money goes. I would like to make one comment about gas prices. Gas prices would be low based upon the way the federal government would work to a certain extent, but you have federal taxes on it, you have state taxes on it,
Oh,
you
yeah,
may
yeah.
have, in some cases, environmental taxes on it. So that's part of the reason that gas in California will always be above $5 a gallon. Now, the other thing before we end, there was another one of those. You put it up long enough for people to read.
I'm trying to blow it up now.
Yeah, one of the things that's been bothering me lately is that people on the internet, and I see it way too often, said prices are not coming down. Gas prices are not coming down. On what planet are these people living?
Yeah, because they are coming down that we can see. Like I said, we had...
Can you see that better now? You
Yes.
wanna-
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So if we briefly go through this, Maryland's infamous rain tax on driveways and roofs, and they want to do that in Massachusetts too. Plastic bags, okay, we have them, okay, in Massachusetts. It takes more energy to produce a plastic bag than it does a paper bag, and paper bags
easier to carry.
are they will decompose. Soda and sugary drinks, and they don't put in there New York. New York when we lived in New York, there was a tax on anything that didn't have nutritional value. Candy, high C, juicy juice because there's other stuff in it, chips, anything along those lines.
Evelyn,
would
what's your
tax.
favorite snack?
Pardon me?
What's your favorite snack?
Oh, snack. Potato chips.
I could answer.
Well, I was going to ask you next, Glenn. Yeah, you see.
What's
it's-
your
it's-
favorite snack?
I guess you both have that habit. You like to help with answers.
I don't have a favorite snack. I really don't.
Okay.
You could list them. Guns and ammo,
them
you
all.
can see and they have other ones. The miles you drive, that's already has their proposals, and that's also in Massachusetts. Fur clothing, I didn't know anything about that. Online gaming and music. And if I play a video game and I buy coins, there's a tax on it. Bullets per round and everyday services. Now, before we end, if we're not too close, in order to end, I sent you earlier a picture in the same text group, okay? And it looks like it's kind of like you took a picture of a piece of paper. It's typed, and it's under Hakeem Jeffrey's picture. And what it says
Here's your
is,
text, Evelyn.
it says 12/4/2002 on the top of it.
Here's your text.
Okay, that one. If you put
This
that
one?
No, the one above that. Yeah, the other ones we'll get to next week. That one. Put that one up on the screen and we'll end with this.
I'll play with it. Go ahead.
Okay, so what it does is it says, Dear Ann, I'm an English teacher and my students are reading George Orwell's 1984. I'm having a difficult time explaining communism, socialism, and fascism without giving a time-consuming history lesson. I recall you printed a humorous explanation using cows. And here it is. Socialism. If you have 2 cows, give 1 cow to your neighbor. In communism, if you have 2, you have to give both cows to the government, and maybe they'll give you some milk. Fascism. You have 2 cows. You give all the milk to the government, and the government sells it. Nazism. You have 2 cows. The government shoots you and takes the cows. Anarchism. You have 2 cows. Keep both cows. Shoot the government agent and steal the other cow. Capitalism. You have 2 cows. Sell one, buy a bull. So I thought that would be humorous enough to end on that note this morning, rather than all this serious stuff that we've been doing.
And if someone comes up with a new idea to tax something that's not being taxed currently, reject it, because we have plenty of taxes.
Right.
More than half of what you make, you earn, gets taken away from you in taxes, and it's an incredibly high.
Yeah, and there's a lot of waste, and we saw that there's a lot of fraud. So anyway, thanks, Glenn, for getting up extra special early. We hope we see him next week.
Time for a nap soon.
Yep, maybe we'll see you next week. Have a great day. Everybody stay safe out there and be prepared for the next storm. So
We
I
have
think,
70 feet of snow.
500 degrees below zero temperature.
yeah, right. That's
Ready,
about how
ready for it.
extreme. We'll see exactly where that goes.
Don't get the long underwear out.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
we'll see you tomorrow, and tomorrow, it's coming up at the speed of government. Melanie Gilbert's going to be here tomorrow with Jose Cervantes, Eileen Del Rossi, of course, Cliff's the host. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Thanks.
That's not what he's asking, Glenn. The media is, thank you.
The guy was the president 1,000 years ago. Let it go.
Well, it's the Epstein files, so what's the big topic?
He's fooling around with a 70-year-old.